What I'm gonna tell you now may strike you as a bit outrageous, but I believe we can have a positive singularity within 10 years. Why 10 years? The precise number's not important. It could be 8 years, it could be 12 years, but something on that order of magnitude, I believe, is achievable. I don't know this is gonna happen. None of us can know the future, but I believe it's a plausible hypothesis and an achievable goal. 10 years to a positive singularity, if the right amount of effort is expended in the right direction. If we really, really try. I focused mainly on the path to singularity via artificial intelligence, because that's where my own work is. I believe I know how to create an artificial general intelligence that can lead us to a positive singularity. But there's a lot of other interesting work going on. There's work in molecular nanotechnology, which will allow us to reconfigure matter according to our will. There's work on brain-computer interfacing, which will let us hook our brains into computers, radically enhancing our power of cognition. Any one of these paths could lead to a positive singularity way, way sooner than most people think. But the sad thing is, the amount of resources, the amount of energy that our society devotes to these things is very, very small. The human race is at a funny stage in our evolution. We expend far more of our energy and attention on things like making chocolatier chocolates or making more attractive underpants than we do on creating new forms of matter, improving human cognition, extending human life, ending scarcity, ending human suffering, creating advanced artificial minds. This is what I'm suggesting. If we really give it our all, a positive singularity may well be achievable on the order of 10 years from now. Is it organized?
Well, I think you're the chair, right? So someone has to have some views about this matter.
Yeah. So I'll go first, second, and third then.
All right. So you just introduce yourself? Or?
I can do so, yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. So good morning, everyone. This is a session on the topic of machine consciousness. So just to give a brief introduction to myself. So I'm Ben Goertzel. I'm from the United States. I'm a mathematician originally. Currently, I'm in the AI software business, and I run an AI startup company called Novamente. So we look at this apparently physical system corresponding to me, the set of relationships in my brain. How do you correlate this pattern of relationships with the subjective flow of experience that I feel and know? We're trying to make systems that are conscious, autonomous, self-understanding in the same sense that human beings are, and you can go through formalizing that mathematically. For now, I'll leave it fairly informal, but AGI, artificial general intelligence, is intended to be contrasted with what I call narrow AI, which is most of the AI work that's done these days. I mean, we thought by the year 2001 we'd have HAL 9000, which are the really human-like general intelligence. Instead, we have this, which is cool, and it's great at doing keyword search. It's not much good at doing anything else. The DARPA Grand Challenge, I mean, we got cars that can use GPS and vision systems to navigate through the desert. Deep Blue can kick my butt at chess, and everyone else's too. I mean, these programs are really smart. They can do really intelligent things, but they're very narrow. They can do particular things in a very intelligent way. If you want to view them as having a certain amount of consciousness, that's all right, but they don't have a kind of very flexible, open-ended theater of reflective awareness like human beings do. The human mind is complex and not that well understood, so I think we got to draw information about it from every source we have. Brain scanning at this point only tells us so much, and computer science only tells us so much, so that there's a lot that can be gotten by introspecting, by observing your own thoughts, and that's a very structured discipline as well. People may think it's just a casual thing of looking in your own mind, but there's been a number of traditions that have really refined it in a systematic way. There's some things you can't get that way. On the other hand, right now there's a lot of things in our mind we can only get through introspection. I mean, the essential processes of cognition and reflection and understanding. My grandmother and grandfather wrote a book called Cradles of Eminence, where they studied the childhoods of famous people. And one thing they found was that, so the great scientists, they'd almost always had very lonely childhoods. They had no friends, they were isolated. Then they had some important person, either a parent or an uncle or a teacher, interested them in science when they were very young. And many of them were sick in their adolescence. I grew up in my early childhood in Eugene, Oregon, in the early 1970s, so I was surrounded by peace-loving hippie guys with long hair tossing around weird ideas. I started college when I was 15, so I was quite young, but I studied mathematics. And until I was about 27, 28, I was doing research scattered in all sorts of different things. When I started my career as a scientist, I was interested in a bunch of big problems, like how to make spacecraft to travel to other stars, how to make time machines to go back in time, and theoretical physics and simulating immune systems and artificial life, how to make people live forever, and how to make thinking machines. So I figured I could solve all these at one time, but that proved significantly more difficult than anticipated. So in my late 20s, I focused like 80% of my time on one thing. I'm trying to make thinking machines. By and large, when I've talked at machine consciousness conferences, when I've talked about consciousness and subjective experience with AI programmers and AI scientists, most of them are fairly materialist in their outlook. Most of them feel strongly that human consciousness comes about as a consequence of certain complex structures in the human brain. That's one respected philosophy of consciousness. It isn't mine. So when I'm around AI people discussing consciousness, I'm almost always the outlier. In the view that I take, consciousness, awareness is the ground. That's the base out of which everything is formed. And then different structures manifest consciousness in different ways. So a human brain manifests universal consciousness in one way, and I mean, this coin manifests universal consciousness in a different way. So from that point of view, the question isn't which systems are conscious. The question is what kind of consciousness each system demonstrates, how it manifests universal consciousness. That's a very eccentric view for an AI scientist, and I'm usually in a minority of one when you're around AI people. On the other hand, if you're around Buddhists or people from other analogous spiritual traditions, they just take this for granted. Their attitude is, yeah, of course, it's obvious. Awareness is the ground out of which everything springs. panpsychism is second nature to them. I read some interviews between the Dalai Lama and a number of scientists, and some of them asked him about artificial intelligence and consciousness. Can machines ever truly think? Can they truly feel and understand? Can they be self-aware? But he said in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way that perhaps one day when programmers die, though, they will be reincarnated in artificial intelligence programs. I'm going from Hong Kong on to Xiamen in China. In Xiamen, I'm working with my friend Hugo DeGaris on a project called the Conscious Robot Project. Hugo works on genetic algorithms, and I've worked more on advanced cognition and learning systems. So we're looking to combine my AI stuff with Hugo's AI stuff and control a little humanoid robot. Singularity in 3 weeks. Singularity or bust. I've set up a machine. If we don't have the singularity in 3 weeks, it's going to blow my brains out. It's quantum suicide. So only in those branches of the multiverse where we achieve the singularity in Xiamen will we continue to exist. Otherwise, we'll be dead. So it should be a busy few weeks. But we're at the airport.
There's tons of money here. The opportunities here are just amazing. Fujian province is pouring money into computer science and software, and we are hoping to tap into some of that money to make this part of the country an artificial general intelligence center, or an artificial brain, artificial mind center for China. And if we can attract enough foreign, non-Chinese talent, maybe even the world. I'm really trying hard to get Ben Goertzel to come here, at least part-time, maybe one semester a year, and hopefully full-time. If he can get really good funding, he'd be strongly tempted. And then if he comes, other top guys will come. So the plan is to bring in like a little colony, CABA, Chinese Artificial Brain Administration. Now with emphasis on the word administration, as in the sense of NASA is an administration. In other words, thousands of scientists and engineers, and whose job would be to design and build artificial brains, artificial minds, artificial general intelligence and so forth for major future Chinese industries in the next 10 years or so. For example, home robots. I mean, once these home robots, these home servants become genuinely useful and intelligent, then everyone will want to buy one. And they'll spend more money buying their home robot than they will buying a car. So you're talking a massive industry, and that's why I'm here. I'm betting. I've voted with my feet. I've chosen to come here because I see China winning, becoming the dominant culture this century. America is not growing, and America is getting fat, and America is getting more and more conservative. I mean, cultures rise and fall, and my feeling is America peaked more or less in the 60s. I think, like, for example, when Armstrong was putting his first step on the moon, that was pretty well the apex of American dominance. So I see China very much on the rise, and China seems willing to foot the bill. The president of my university is keen on this idea, like he's keen. So the next step in the next few weeks will be to try to get the provincial politicians involved. And if they get enthusiastic, then it'll happen.
I believe that once we have artificial scientists, the singularity will be not far off. And after that, AIs may well take a different form whose details it's not within our present capability to foresee. So you're like fact-checking this article at this point, or what? Okay. Oh, and you could trace it back further if you want to. I mean, in the Middle Ages, they were talking about making a golem, an intelligent person out of clay. They would walk around and talk to people. But, I mean, they were going to create its mind using alchemy or something. So the kind of rational scientific incarnation of it only started around the 1940s or so. Right now, I'm in China on a mission to try to bring the physical robot up to speed with the virtual robot. I'm working with the Chinese guys who are the roboticists. And the goal of our work with them is to take everything we've done in the virtual robot and make the physical robot do the same stuff. Hopefully, by the end of this summer, with the same stuff that our virtual dogs do in the virtual world in terms of learning new behaviors, learning by imitation, learning by reinforcement, like good robot, bad robot. So all that stuff that we're doing with virtual dogs now, we want to plug that into these robots. The robots are at a place called Xiamen University, which is in the city of Xiamen in China. Cool? Tonight, it's 8 in the morning. All right. Good night. Bye-bye. GQ magazine. Of course, that wasn't the author. That was the fact checker of the article. The author was more knowledgeable. So I think I see that the robot excites people. So that's I think that's going to be it's going to be very effective in terms of spreading the word in the press. It's ready? Okay. Hello?
Well, hello there.
My name is Ben.
Nice to meet you. You have an unusual name. Do you mind disclosing your gender?
Not right now, thanks.
I understand.
Turn right. So, if they're expecting to see a robot, which is very intelligent, it may be that they will be disappointed just by that, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Building a thinking machine will be a difficult engineering problem. But I don't think it's harder than building the Google search engine. The hard part of creating an AI is knowing what to program. It's knowing how to make the software. It's understanding how the mind works. Most of the time I've spent during the 20 years since I got my PhD, since I've been working toward creating artificial general intelligence. Most of this time has been spent just understanding cognition, creating mathematical and computational models of how thinking works. Of course, there's a lot of detail here, but at bottom, I believe the mind is a pattern recognition system. A mind recognizes patterns in the world around it. A mind recognizes patterns in its own actions, patterns regarding which of its own actions will lead to which outcomes. Most critically, a mind recognizes patterns in itself. The self that each of us carries around, the self I have in my mind when I think of Ben Goertzel, this self is itself a pattern that the mind has recognized. Creating an AI is about creating a pattern recognition system to allow an AI to recognize the patterns in the world and in itself. That needs to demonstrate a very high level of intelligence. So is this thing, is it, Ray Ting, is it working now? Okay. I think the dean is here.
Hello again.
Hello.
What would you like to talk about?
Robots.
I do not understand that. I will become smarter as I grow older.
You are stupid.
I'm smart.
How smart are you?
How smart is a computer program, and I find the mere suggestion insulting.
Go forward.
Do you think your plan will succeed?
I hope my plan will succeed. Stop. Bad robot. Why did you do that?
Did it surprise you?
A little bit. Are you a robot?
Am I a robot? Maybe.
Am I a robot?
Really?
Am I a robot? You tell me.
I think a lot of people are.
Go back. What do you see? Are you a robot?
Interesting. I like to socialize.
Why do you like to socialize?
I had a lot of good experience with the socialized good robot.
Go back. Go forward.
Go where?
Go forward.
Ha. Why do I exist?
Because I created you.
Interesting explanation. No, you didn't.
Why do I exist?
It is all part of God's plan.
What is God's plan?
That's the initial design plan.
What's the final design plan?
This design permitted more complex experiments.
Is our universe an experiment?
This fits the universe as all of us is the opening at the center of the universe.
That's very interesting. Goodbye for now, robot.
See you later, Ben.
If we could do that this afternoon, that would be great.
One of the questions I get asked a lot is, why do you want to do this? Why not just be contented with life the way it is? With life the way nature has given it to us? The natural order has great beauty. There's also a lot of suffering in human life. I love human life. I love the natural order of things. I don't love death and disease. I don't love all the limitations on my mind and my life that are placed on me by the human body, but by the human mind, by the limitations that I was born with. This really illustrates one of the advantages AIs have over people. We're stuck in one body. An AI can have as many bodies as it wants. You could have an AI in one robot body. You could have an AI in 100 robot bodies. You could have an AI in 1 million computers all over the internet, sensing things from weather satellites, sensing things from webcams, sensing things from scientific instrumentation. We don't need to think about AI minds as imitations of the human mind. The scope of their interaction with the world can be much, much broader than that. People have this idea that computers, robots, somehow have to be cold and impersonal and uncaring. I don't see why that's true. I believe we can build artificial minds that are more caring, more compassionate, have better and more stable goal systems than any human being. Once machines can think better than us, all these other technologies will develop faster and faster. Instead of humans developing micro machines, nanomachines, brain scanners, artificial organisms, superhuman minds will be doing this science. At that point, human beings are no longer in control. It's a scary thought, but it's also an exciting one. One thing is for certain, it's not going to be boring. My research collaborator, Hugo DeGaris, also foresees a technological singularity coming sometime in this century. But he sees the outcome a little differently.
My artificial brain lab and similar labs, in a sense, we are the problem, because what are we doing? We're creating artificial brains that will get smarter and smarter every year. And you can imagine, say 20 years from now, people will be spending a lot of money on their home robot. And then 2 or 3 years later, they'll buy another one. They'll upgrade their home robot, and they'll notice that their new one is smarter, it has richer vocabulary, it remembers better, it has better logic, and so on. And so they'll see for themselves, millions, if not billions of people, that the human intelligence level and their home robot, machine intelligence level, that difference over the years is getting smaller and smaller. And as that gap closes, millions of people will be asking questions like, well, are we going to let our machines become smarter than we are? Is that a good thing? Is that dangerous? So I imagine a great debate really starting to rage as that gap closes. But the scenario I see as the most probable, you can't be certain talking about the future, but the most probable scenario, in my view, with all my reasoning is probably the worst.
China, 2 Uyghur workers were beaten to death as revenge for an alleged rape. The latest violence erupted over accusations.
The stake this time, it's not the survival of a country. This time, it's the survival of us as a species. So I see humanity splitting into 2 major philosophical groups, ideological groups. One group I call cosmists. That's based on the word cosmos, because that's their picture. And by definition, cosmos are the people who want to build these godlike, massively intelligent machines. And for them, it'd be almost like a religion, because they'd be God-building. I mean, these artilects, these super creatures, live forever. You know, they'd be immortal. They'd be thinking like 1,000,000 times faster than we do. No limit to memory. They could be the size of asteroids, whatever. And that's potentially very frightening. Now, the other group opposed. Their main motive would be fear. So I call that second group Terrans. If you look at the Terminator movies, you know, the essence of the movies is machines versus humans, right? Now, my personal take, I don't see that's what's going to happen. This Artelect war is not between the machines and humans. It's between humans and humans. Anticipating that if they don't do anything, then it really would be between machines and humans. So in a sense, you could say the Terminator movies are educating the Terrans. I mean, it sounds like science fiction today, but at least amongst the techies, the guys who think about this, it's getting taken more and more seriously, because we're getting closer and closer to it. I mean, we'll have intelligent home robots in our homes in a decade, pretty much. It's close. So if there's a major war, the most passionate war we've ever known, with late 21st century weaponry, then we're not talking millions getting killed. Like last century, 20th century, it'll be in the billions killed. You can draw a graph, but that's a sizable fraction of the population of the Earth. So it's incredibly depressing. There are times when I feel I'm glad I'm alive now. Right? I'll probably die peacefully in my bed. But I calculate my grandkids will be caught up in this, and I won't. And I say, thank God, I won't see it. Each person is going to have to choose. But because it's a binary decision, it's not fuzzy, you build them or you don't build them, right? It's black and white. So everyone has to choose. So I just chose Cosmist. Fully conscious that maybe, can't be certain, but maybe the price of that choice is ultimately maybe humanity gets wiped out. Yeah, it's scary. It's frightening. Because if we go ahead and actually build these godlike creatures, these artilects, then they become the dominant species. And so the human beings remaining, their fate depends not on the humans, but on the artilects, because the artilects will be hugely more intelligent than them. I mean, if you're a cow, for example, and you have a very nice life, and you eat all this grass every day, and you get nice and fat and happy, but ultimately, you're being fed for a reason, right? So these superior creatures, at the end of the day, take you to a special little box and
of course I want to help people. I don't want harm to come to anyone. I want good things for myself, my children, my friends, my colleagues. I think I have the same desires for good things for humanity as everyone else, but I don't pretend to know what's going to happen, even though I know what I would like to happen. This is just going to be a completely revolutionary break from anything that came before. I don't really think it's comparable to inventing fire or guns or writing, or even comparable to prior revolutionary changes in human society. This is the notion of the singularity, where Werner Vinge viewed the singularity as a point beyond which we just can't predict what's going to happen. It's an unknown. And I think it's an even bigger unknown than the civilized world was to tribal humanity. I think we can understand moderately well the risks and benefits during the period leading up to the singularity, and we can intelligently manage what happens then. But once you've created AGIs that are vastly more intelligent than humans, no, I don't think we can predict in any detail what's going to happen then. And I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's what feels natural to me to do. I don't think the first humans to use language, the first humans to point and say, that's a tree, and use the same word to describe every tree, and say, I'm Ben, you're Jane. That was a big invention, and of course the first people to use language did not prognosticate everything that could come out of it. I'm sure they could see good and bad aspects of language from the very beginning, and yeah, they had a personal gut intuition that it was the right thing to do, which I think most of us working on AGI have that same gut instinct. I think pursuing AGI is not so different from many other human pursuits in that it's driven by a whole complex combination of individual and social motivations. The human race as a whole is creating superhuman intelligence. It's coming out of a huge complex of processes that have been going on throughout history, and I'm a part of that, you're a part of that, the people working with me are a part of that, and the stories we tell ourselves about our own motives are also a part of that. I find working with the Chinese, yeah, they definitely have a different attitude on things. Like Ray Ting, who's the natural language PhD student there, who I talk to a lot. She gets everything I say before I finish saying it, even though her English isn't that good. You like that?
Yeah, he's so cute. No.
Sit in the robot there. He doesn't look comfortable.
Oh.
It's because you don't have children. You don't know how to hold a baby. You need lessons. There you go. All right, that's good. Oh.
还是不行哎。
He moved.
好傻。
He doesn't have much cognition yet. Do you have cognition? What does that look on your face mean? He understands so much he doesn't want to say anything.
Yes, of course.
It's becoming intelligent. His first word is fuck you. Yeah.
Oh, it's broken. Oh my God.
Yeah, it seems broken.
Ah.
It's broken. You broke it. You broke it on film. You recorded breaking it. So, you think this robot will ever become as intelligent as you?
Maybe.
Maybe. What do you think? Will there be a war over species dominance?
I think. Sorry.
Which side of the war will you be on? The side of the robots or the people?
Both.
Both.
If I can.
All right, that's a good answer. What would I say to the future entities that would come about in accordance with my work? I mean, I don't know that I'll have anything to offer a superhuman AI mind in any sense. I mean, let's say the Australopithecus who gave rise to me eventually. Or a great ape that gave rise to me. What lesson is that great ape gonna have to transmit to me? Like, yeah, bananas are really good. Or, I mean, you know, when you go out on a tree branch too far, be careful. The tree branch might break. Or would the great ape even give me a message like, you know, value your children because you're gonna get old one day and they're what you'll leave behind? It's questionable to me whether we have anything to add to these beings. People pray to God probably more for the impact on their own psyche than on what God is going to say back to them. I feel like I'm participating in the human condition. I mean, I'm married, I have 3 kids, I hike and backpack all the time. I don't feel like I'm missing out on the human condition. I mean, the goal, however, is to go beyond the human condition. So you spend a certain amount of your time enjoying being human, and a certain amount of your time working toward going beyond being human. And then striking that balance is a tricky thing. It's true, before having kids, I was more adamant that I wanted to be immortal. And now, having kids reduced my fear of death dramatically, which is just everyone's genetics. It's not unusual. Right? Wow, the trip has been good fun. Talked to my parrot on the phone. Huh? The parrot doesn't use instant messaging. Yeah. My oldest son, Zarathustra, he's studying mathematics, but he's also done a bunch of computer science and taken a class in AI. So yeah, it's possible he'll join me on the AI project one day. Or maybe I'll join his AI project.
Joining the family business.
You never know. We're here. in the hotel. Okay, sorry. Sorry, no problem. Sleep, okay? Take care. Yeah, it's only 8 in the morning.